Very significant indeed. This is going to be President Joe Biden's last State of the Union address before the elections in November. There are a lot of things at stake. The stakes couldn't be higher. But what I think he needs to do tonight is to draw a clear contrast between him and President Trump. And he's a skilled politician who has the ability to do that. We've seen him play a significant role. He's a crafted orator. So I think this is something that he's definitely going to talk about, not trying to appeal to the Democrats, but he's going to use this speech to appeal to the nation, evoke emotion, some sort of emotion, but also speak about some of the things, the achievements that he has accomplished during his term. And one of the other things that I think he's going to talk about is going to talk less about Trump, but focus on appealing to the consciousness of the American people.
And on the domestic and foreign policy, what should we expect President Biden to address?
Great question. On the domestic policy, at the end of the day, all politics is local. But he certainly has an uphill battle to rally support for himself and to convince the American public that he's still the right guy for the job. In terms of foreign policy, yes, there is going to be issues with funding the war in Ukraine, funding the war in Israel. Technically speaking, you have United States playing a role in both wars, but there is lack of funding. So that's something that he has to tackle going into these elections.
Right. And very quickly, there are, of course, concerns about his age, women's rights. There's soaring inflation, as you mentioned. What are analysts predicting he might say to address those issues?
Well, age is a big concern, but I come from a continent where we associate age with wisdom. And President Joe Biden could use that to rally support from young voters. He could use that to appeal to the consciousness of the American people. So for me, I see age as a positive thing for him to use going forward. Then he can also talk to the women. He's been seen as a champion of women's rights. A lot of women here are struggling with those issues. There is talk of abortion. Most recently, IVFs are being challenged in court. So he can appeal to women using stuff like that so that the people understand where he's coming from, that he's a person who really stands up for women's rights.